The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, December 18th, 2024, Season 20, Episode number 88. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at lg.com/OLED Evo. How's everybody doing today?
Excellent.
Got a good start. Got a good start to your day.
Yeah, we got the media Christmas party today over in the media workroom.
Wait, y'all have a media Christmas party?
Yeah, we do. You got to come up. Come say what's up.
What time?
It's going to be right after locker room, so right after we're done with this show, pretty much.
I got a presentation at that time.
Presentation.
I got things to do.
Is it like a white elephant Christmas thing? Or?
It's just like show up, bring whatever, and wear an ugly Christmas sweater. Mine's in the studio. So.
I got you.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's not actually this.
I was about to say, is that it?
I was thinking when
I didn't want to insult, but I'm just like, what are we talking about here?
I was thinking this morning when I put it on, I was like, this could qualify, but I do have one in the podcast.
I actually like that.
He
I like
dressed
the
up
green.
as Dave.
Exactly.
Yes, that
Exactly.
works. That works. Although I do think y'all favor each other a little bit.
Yeah,
with the beard and everything. Yeah, I think.
Well, I had gone to a Dodger game with him over during training camp, and it was the first time we were able to really meet. And it was like third inning, and we were already like understanding why everyone was linking us together. I was like, you know what, I see it now.
It's the
And he was like, yeah, I
personality.
see it
It's
now, too.
everything. Like it's everything. It really is. All right, let's jump in. I want to start first. We were going to get to the Bucs today and talk about their offense versus the Cowboys defense. But before we get there, I want to talk about Demarcus Lawrence. I think we all thought that by maybe as early as last weekend, maybe at the latest this weekend, he would be playing again, and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. What are you guys hearing about him? And at this point, do you think there's a possibility he doesn't return this season?
This is one of those, Derek. I really just don't know.
Yeah.
But he is running out of time, like you said. I mean, after this, he's not going to go this week. Mike McCarthy already said it. He's not going to even touch the practice field this week. So that really only leaves 2 more games where he could potentially return. I mean, it was a serious injury that he suffered back in Week 4 as a Lisfranc injury. It wasn't as severe as what Jordan Lewis suffered back in 2022, but it is a similar injury, and it takes a while for. It's basically when, you know, like the top of your foot where like your bones kind of web out. Mm-hmm. If you break like that knuckle bone on that web, that's the Lisfranc, and
that
so
sounds painful.
It makes it really difficult to heal because you're basically healing like 5 mini bones at once, especially given how much it spreads. So in Jordan Lewis's case, it was really severe because it spread really bad on that fracture. Demarcus Lawrence isn't as bad, but it's still something that's going to take time to heal. But as far as timeline goes, I don't really know, because we were expecting, out of Thanksgiving for him to potentially start getting back onto the practice field. There were whispers of that. Mike McCarthy had said it. Stephen Jones had said it. And now all of a sudden he's kind of just trending towards possibly not playing again this year.
I don't want to speculate, but, I mean, I've tried to reach out and ask and see. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we'll get an answer on that. Because I know walking to our responsibilities here, I've seen him on the field just walking. I mean, I just looked out and I recognize him, and he's working with Britt Brown, and he's cutting and he's moving and I'm kind of in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is encouraging. Him and Britt are out there working really, really hard to get back. And, you saw the explosiveness, the get off, the plant, the turn. And I'm like, oh, okay. There must have been a setback here. There must have been something that happened, because to me, it just looked so positive. And that's just me, like my days of watching practice and watching guys work out and thinking like, oh, that guy doesn't look ready. He's still kind of limping around. But man, it was really, really kind of encouraging. And I just worried that maybe something happened, that they were in a workout one day and then, and it does happen. I mean, they work hard and then all of a sudden, it's that day's not very good. And so I'm just trying to find that out, and hopefully today, by the time we end this thing, I'll figure that out for you. Because I meant to do that. I meant to ask, and I haven't asked a couple of people that I know can maybe help me on that.
A quick tip for everybody: do not Google image list Frank injuries. These are disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I just
Thanks
wanted
for
to
the
make
heads
sure
up.
that no one else Googles what I'm Googling right now. It's terrifying.
I will not be Googling.
It's like body
it.
horror.
But I think it's one of those things that, yeah, you can always speculate a timeline in anything that you go through. And then as you start approaching that timeline, it may not look like you're actually ready for it. When you talk about things like that, no one can accelerate certain things in your body to fully heal. And like you said, Brian,
Yeah.
I have watched him
Yeah.
training out there
Yeah.
with Britt Brown and everything. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's
Right.
showing up to do the rehab necessary and everything. So maybe there was something like
Yeah.
you mentioned that happened and occurred there. But it is very concerning because we're not. It's trending towards us not being able to take another look at him before the season ends. I mean, there's still three games left. One doesn't even day. That's crazy. But he's about to become a free agent.
Right.
And again, when you start seeing other guys that have been showing up during these games, it makes you wonder, wait, does he have a future here with the Cowboys? I don't know. And it's crazy to think because, man, I remember when we had the press conference announcing his big contract with the Cowboys, and
Time
time
doesn't
just
stop.
flies by. Yeah. It's insane. But yeah, that's another big name heading to free agency.
Well, you know, when you mention it from that perspective, I actually look at it. I'm like, if the Cowboys were in a position where the playoffs were more realistic, because obviously they still have a 1% chance, so there's still a chance. But if it were more realistic, I would probably be like, okay, we got to get him back. You got to get him back as quickly as possible. Because it's not as realistic, now people like Nealon, I kind of want to see a little bit more of them. I want to have an opportunity to see more of them. I know what Demarcus
After our question
Lawrence
yesterday, he wants to see Nealon now.
Here we go.
He was all about that Leah foul yesterday.
We've seen all we need to see.
We know
in
what
my
he
opinion.
is.
Yeah,
We know what
there's
Demarcus
There's
Lawrence
nothing
is.
he's going to do in 3 games that's going to change an opinion in this building about who he is, what he represents, or whether there should be a new deal. Those things have already been, at least what you've seen, that part's already been decided. They'll ultimately have to make a decision on what the money looks like, how much they want to have him back, what else they think they have at the position. All those things will factor in, but none of that will be about his play. So at this point, whether he comes back or not, I don't know if it hurts him, helps him, hurts the Cowboys, helps the Cowboys. I just think at this point, whatever is best for him just is the right thing to do.
I mean, if you're looking at it from, this isn't really a bright side, just because like a Demarcus Lawrence loses out in this scenario, but by him not playing these final 14 weeks, his price is going to be a little bit lower going into free agency. So, if you're looking at it from front office perspective, maybe that opens the door for the potentiality of a return. But
you don't think other teams are kind of like, we know who he is, or do you think that they would
Commanders
be maybe
know who he is.
scared
Commanders
off?
know exactly.
They
And
would
Seattle.
be scared off by
Seattle,
the injury itself and him not coming back. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying, especially at that age, an injury like that, I'm sure it could give some teams some pause and potentially could lower his market value. But I think still at the end of the day, this is going to be a contract that the Cowboys can't afford. I think that they knew that, and that's why that they drafted Marshawn Nealon last year in the 2nd round.
I kind of wanted to, in my mind, I was putting him in the same category as Tyron Smith, but that's not accurate.
No.
That's not accurate because he's had years where he's played 16 of 16, 15 of 16, 16 of 16, 15 of 16.
Okay,
the 1 year.
That made me dizzy, all those numbers, Brian.
Basically, he's played a lot.
He's played a lot of
missed
games.
a lot of time.
He has played a lot of games.
Time. Yeah.
But then you have games where he's played, then like in 2021, it was 7 of 7. And then it was 17 of 17, 17 of 17, 4 of 4.
Yeah.
And then so it's not like if you're thinking of like Tyron Smith, because in the past we've always thought about, it'd be great to have Tyron Smith, but he's always hurt. And I can't put Tank in that category because when he's been healthy, he's been able to line up and play. You can't say, well, he's had a Tyron Smith-like career because of injuries. He's only had 2 seasons where, well, really 2016 was, a season he lost.
Yeah.
But he's been relatively healthy for you throughout.
Well, I think the other part to that too is specifically, talking about Tyron Smith, I think it was clear watching him play this year that the Cowboys made the right decision.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I still think Tank has a lot more football in him. I don't think he's at the end of his career just yet.
I agree.
This reminds me more of DeMarcus Ware when DeMarcus Ware left, and a team that knows how to use him. I don't know that he should be a guy you bring in to be your every down player, but as a rotational guy that can get some pass rush, that can help in the run, against the run, I think he is still a very valuable commodity for teams. And so from that standpoint, I think he still has more left in the tank.
I totally agree with Nick. I think they drafted Nealon to be the guy. I think that's where they were going with that.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to introduce this Tampa Bay club and then dive into their offense. Man, a lot of really scary stuff if you're on the Cowboys side of this, things to think about, players you'll have to be aware of. We'll do all that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's Stay in Your Car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break, live from SWBC Morgan Studios at the Star. It is time to meet the Bucs. So here's what we know about them. They are coached by Todd Bowles, who actually, ironically, for those that were around or remember, he was a former defensive back coach with the Cowboys back in 2005.
Tried to get me fired.
2012. And I was actually going to ask you, do you have any you got any interesting Todd Bowles?
Yeah, he was
stories?
a scout with the Packers.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was a scout for Scout first.
Todd Bowles was a player with the Washington Commanders.
Yep.
And he had a health club in Alexandria, Virginia, which was very, very, very successful. I mean, that was his first business when he was a player after he was playing. And we had the bright idea to hire him as a scout when we were in Green Bay. And he was running that health club and not really scouting, And Ron Wolf, my boss at the time, said, "Listen, if you can't get that guy to scout, you're fired." And
you're fired?
Yeah,
right.
Fired.
Oh, not wow. He's fired. Brian's fired.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm just not, I'm sitting there kind of like, okay. So I'm talking to him, and I'm pleading with him. I'm like, Todd, seriously, you got to turn in reports. You got to go to this school. They're going to fire you and me both if you don't do it.
It's not just about you, bro.
And Todd's got the most laid-back personality ever. Yeah. Okay, man. All right. I'm like, no, you don't understand. We're going to get fired, you and I, on the street. And he's probably thinking I'm going back to the health club. Me, I'm a young guy. Like, what am I going to do?
And Todd's like, I'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
all right,
I made money playing ball. I got this health club thing. I'm good.
Good luck, though.
He hit a couple of schools, and and he went from scouting to getting into coaching. It literally drove him into another avenue of, and then he becomes a head coach, and I'm like, this guy, what?
Who's running the health club?
Yeah, who's running the health club? But that's the Todd Bowl. I mean, literally, he went from being like working with us as a scout in Green Bay, and I mean, it was he just his demeanor is just that of it's you see him on the sideline.
Oh, he's very laid back.
Nothing bothers him. He's just very okay, man. It's cool. We'll get it done. Don't worry about it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. We have to turn in reports. You have to go to Virginia Tech. You have to go to Penn State. You have to go to these schools. We need those reports. All right, man. Don't worry about it. We'll get it done. I'm like, oh, okay.
Did it get done?
Brian kept his job for another couple years.
Yeah, it was like we scrambled. We scrambled. I was pretty close to flying to Virginia, and this is really before you had you had the way to communicate today with the cell phones and stuff like that. I mean, you really couldn't find your scouts all that well. And I almost went to some schools that he was supposed to be at just to make sure he was there. I almost got on a plane and flew to the Atlantic coast area, and just to see if he was scouting the schools, just to walk him to the schools.
Yeah.
Hey, man, this is North Carolina. Beautiful place, isn't it? Oh, this is Duke. They're really smart here. Hey, we can go over here and watch tape and write reports. I didn't have to do that, but man, it was a nightmare.
Maybe what he figured out is scouting ain't for me. Coaching, I can do.
He did, and and Parcells took a liking to him.
Yeah, he did.
That's how Todd Bowles got to where Todd Bowles is.
He's a good guy too.
He's a really good guy. If you just like being like, man, don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's very chill. He's very chill, but he's a good dude.
We're good here. Why are you so upset? Yeah. And I'm like, because we're going to lose our jobs. That's why I'm upset. I can't afford to lose this job. And he goes, oh, okay, we'll get it done.
Brian hair on fire. Todd just like,
if I ran into him right now, he wouldn't remember anything I just said. I mean, he would be like, I did that, yeah. But here he is, his coach, man, defensive coordinator, all that stuff. I mean, but Bill Parcells, everybody in life needs a sponsor. Bill Parcells was his sponsor. Yeah. I got him a gig and into coaching.
No doubt. Okay. And he has led this team now to an 8-6 record. They are right now first place in the NFC South. After losing some parts as the season has gone along, they've kind of been able to keep it together. They are currently on a 4-game win streak. They won at the Chargers last week, put up 40 points against them, beat Las Vegas the week before that, and beat Carolina team the week before that in overtime, and then beat the New York Giants the week before that. So they've had a similar trek over the last 4 weeks to what the Cowboys were playing, and they came through it unscathed and got some wins that they desperately needed in order to keep hold of that NFC South. If I had to go around the table and tell me, what do you think is the thing that that fans need to know most about this team as the Cowboys prepare to face them? What would you say?
It's a really good team, and it's better than an 8-6 record. And I know 8-6 is a good record, but this is a really good team. You look at these first 10 opponents that they face in the first 10 weeks. Only one of them is not currently in the playoff picture. And it was a win against New Orleans. They won by 24. They're one of 2 teams to beat Detroit. They did that on the road. They're one of 2 teams to beat Philadelphia. They did that at home, but it was by 17 points. And then since their bye week, you look and you see New York, Carolina, Las Vegas, Chargers, and they've handled business. They're the only team to put up more than 30 points against the Chargers. They put up 40 on the road.
Chargers got a good defense.
And they have a phenomenal defense. So they've really started to figure it out with their run game, with their 2-headed monster. We'll get to it here in a bit. But this is a really good team. It's better than 8-6. This is a really talented team coming to 18.
Yeah, they've got Mike Evans healthy now, and he's been lighting it up the last 4 weeks, the way he's playing. And then, also, too, give the tip of the cap to Baker Mayfield. I mean, you could say a lot of things about Baker Mayfield, but he finds a way to make it happen. The line has done a good job with some of the blocking that they've had to do. The quarterback gets rid of the ball. He's going to make plays, and it's really an impressive offense to watch just because of the skill that they have at the certain positions. Like Bucky Irving has been just a fourth-round pick. And here we go, him and White, the other running back. They do a really nice job with the 1-2 punch. They got a tight end that's very capable, a lot of targets with K-Dot, and he's going to make plays for you. And they've got a rookie center that when we were doing the draft show that, I know that Nick and I and others were talking about Graham Barton, could potentially the Cowboys draft Graham Barton, and we would be super happy with that pick. And he went right after Dallas picked, matter of fact, to Tampa. So, it's I think I have that right, that he went. I think he went right after.
I think when they traded back
they lost him when they traded back. Yeah, that's okay. That was the story. But, yeah, overall, though, Mike Evans is finally, healthy. He's on his pace for another 1,000-yard season, even though he's missing games. But they're offensively, they present a lot of problems for you.
Let's dive a little deeper into this offense. They are right now third in total offense in the NFL. They are fourth in points scored. They are also fourth in pass offense. When you look at that, Baker Mayfield obviously is at the epicenter of their success. He right now has 258 yards per game through the air, 32 touchdowns, only 14 interceptions, a 104.1 rating. Really, really great season right now for Baker. That being said, Kansas City, San Francisco, Denver, Detroit all gave their passing offense particularly, some issues. They were not able to put up the kinds of yards and points that they were able to put up against some of their other opponents. What do you think they were able to do, or just in general looking at his game, where do you think it's best to be able to disrupt him? How do you best disrupt him?
I think he does make mistakes, and you have to be able to take advantage of those. You look at the turnovers; that is a little high whenever you compare it to the rest of the league. When he makes those mistakes, you just got to be able to take advantage of it. You're looking at this defense, and it has improved in the takeaway category in the last few weeks. Talking about the Cowboys defense, but they got to really be able to take advantage of these mistakes whenever he does make them.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with Mike Evans not being healthy. I think in some of those games you're mentioning, they're a little bit of a different offense that way without him on the field. But to me, that when I was watching, and I always like to go back and watch how teams pressure them, Denver really got after his ass. And then they got after him in a way that it would encourage. If I was Mike Zimmer and I'm watching the game on the tape, which I'm sure he did, Denver's got some dynamic rushers, and they've got the ability. The thing that I've noticed with this guy, with Baker, is that if you make their running backs have to play, now they'll throw the ball to these running backs. That's going to be an issue here. The ball
after
going
what happened against Cincinnati, you got to be concerned.
Irving and White, I think between them, they might have missed 4 passes in 80. I mean, it's incredible the number of passes that their backs get. The ball is going to go short, and it's going to get out quick. But what Denver was able to do was, I saw secondary pressure, and I saw when teams play wide, and I mean wide, alignment. When they play wide against them, you can get these offensive linemen to tilt a little bit and kind of play over the tops of their feet. You play them a little bit tighter, they seem to be able to sit down on you. But these defenses that play with a little space on the edge and able to attack, it makes these linemen go a little forward. And that kind of gives their blockers a problem. But Bucky Irving and White, the running back, when they've had to play in blitz pickups or they've had to block and help, it's been a problem. It's been a real problem. But this quarterback is not going to let you. I think he's the second fastest in the league when it comes to getting the ball out. He's not. But if you can make them hold secondary pressure, linebacker pressure, make the backs have to play a little wider with your scheme, which Denver did. Played a little wider with their scheme, and they attacked those edges, attacked the shoulders. These linemen were playing on their toes a little bit, and I think that gave them some problems. Philadelphia did it. I know Philadelphia lost the game, but just watching how teams were able to generate pressure, those were the ways they were able to do it. And I think not having Mike Evans in some of those games didn't really help the Bucs situation all that well.
To kind of build on that point, just talking about the last 3 games, which have been wins for Tampa Bay, but looking at these last 3 games, Baker has thrown 5 interceptions. He's fumbled 3 times, and it's as a result of him being sacked 9 times. The pressure's been on him. So
where are the weak links? As you look at this offensive line, where are the weak links on this offensive line?
They were not playing with the right tackle.
I'm looking at left guard.
You're looking at left guard?
Yeah.
I think to me, with Brederson, is that who you're thinking is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Gadecki, is that Luke Gadecki? When he was out at right tackle, they were playing with Justin School. Justin School's a backup that's given up 7.5 sacks. Like you watch the Detroit game, when School was in there, he was getting worked by Hutchinson. So they've had some problems there, but I kind of feel like but Gadecki, he's played since he's been back. That hasn't been a problem at the right tackle, but when they had a backup in there, that was a big problem. But Brederson, I think that Brederson was a little bit of a liability, but I was just thinking it's a line that I felt like has played better because they've not missed a lot of time, by the way. I think they were the when it comes to the number of snaps that all these guys have played, I think they're like the 8th or 9th best in the league for a number of snaps that they've all played together. But when their right tackle was out, that was huge for them. So I like what Nick's talking about. I was kind of thinking that the right guard was a problem with this group, and then also if it's going to happen, it would be at the guard spot. Tristan Wirfs has had some problems too with some of the snaps that he's had. That I was watching some of the pressure coming off him, people kind of getting around him as well.
He's still a mauler.
He's a
so
mauler,
good.
but there were a couple of times where he when I was talking about these guys leaning and getting he was one of the guys that was involved in that.
Him and Jordan Mailata are my favorite left tackles to watch in the entire NFL, just because of how athletic they are. And they can get after it and they push guys through. They get out in space in the run game. He's fun. He's a fun left tackle.
All right, we're going to take our final break. We will come back. We got more on this Tampa Bay offense and how they'll match up against Dallas. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a Pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything.
You're so good at that.
That's
Welcome back.
perfect.
Final segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's jump back in. Tampa Bay offense versus Dallas defense. Mike Evans, you mentioned him. He leads Tampa Bay in receiving yards with 749. Cade Otton, he leads Tampa Bay in receptions at 59. By the way, this segment brought to you by blockchain.com.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. And so how does Dallas match up specifically with those two players, Mike Evans and Cade Otton?
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating cover just because you have to account for what's coming out of the backfield, too. You're going to have a lot of resources spread across the field and a lot of one-on-one matchups. They try to isolate guys in one-on-one coverage, and that's how Mike Evans is able to take advantage of it, and that's how he was able to take advantage of it last week. Huge game for him. From a Cowboys perspective, you would like to have length and size on a guy like Mike Evans, but you also look at a guy like Deron Bland and see how he's been playing over the last 3 to 4 weeks since his return, and you might just try to trust him to cover Evans and the opportunities that he has. But
you mean like travel with him?
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, you have one healthy corner to play on the outside right now. Amani Oruwariye, how confident are you that he doesn't give up a big play? I think with the way the cornerback health is right now, and I am team pro travel. I think we've determined that over the course of the season. I am team pro travel in this game specifically just because you only got one healthy corner on the outside in my eyes.
Yeah, this to me is, I don't know about starting AO in this game. And I know they're there, I'm here kind of thing.
Who are you starting?
McQuam.
I'm playing McQuam on the outside and playing Lewis. And,
talk about length.
And, you know what I'm
true.
doing? And you know what I'm doing? And if I have to, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to put Lewis on the outside and I'm going to put McQuam. Evans plays on the outside almost 70% of the time. Mm-hmm. If you look at the metrics on that, he's only goes in the slot roughly 30% of the time.
Yeah.
If you tell me I could put Bland and Lewis on Evans, I'll take my chances. I don't know if I want to take my chances with AO playing over there. I'll take my chances maybe with McQuamu playing because of the length. Mm-hmm. This guy plays, when you're talking about Evans, a lot of his stuff is kind of a vertical game down the field. He's going to go high point the ball. You got to be able to match his physicality and you got to match his length.
Yep.
And so I know putting Lewis on him might be a little bit of a nightmare. Traveling, I don't have a problem with the traveling. They'll always tell you that if you travel, it messes up everybody else. It messes everybody else. Then has to adjust if you're traveling, guys. And so I personally said, you know what? After seeing what happened in the Carolina game the other day, where you give up an 80-something yard pass because you don't communicate things. Would traveling make sense and you don't communicate and now somebody else catches the ball and goes, McMillan for them or Shepard or one of these other guys goes, Palmer, one of these other guys goes 80-something yards because you didn't communicate, what you needed to do. That scares me a little bit, but I would consider just switching switching Lewis and McQuamu. One play slot, one play out. One play the slot, one play out. Just kind of mix it up in there. Don't let them get an idea of how you're playing. I think you almost have to treat Cade Otton too, the tight end, like a wide receiver, because of his ability to make plays down the field.
You mentioned Jalen McMillan. This is a guy that I think fans should definitely be aware of whenever he's on the field. Whenever Mike Evans and Chris Godwin went down midway through the season in October, so they tried to throw that wide receiver one responsibility on him. He didn't really answer to it. He's a rookie out of Washington. We talked about him a lot in the draft show last year. He was one of those 3 receivers that got drafted out of Washington last year. But he didn't really answer to that call. He had, in those 2 games, right after Evans and Godwin went down, he had 15 targets. He only had 7 receptions for 50 yards and wasn't really able to build. They tried to get him involved in the run game, just out in space. Didn't really quite work. But over these last 2 games, since Evans has come back and he's been able to kind of take a step back and really try to find his own role, he's been great. These last 2 games, he has 9 of his 22 receptions on the season, 134 of his 279 yards, and 3 of his 4 touchdowns. He's come alive in this offense. Baker Mayfield has really started to build a connection with him. this is a guy you definitely have to keep track of too. And he's going to be a guy out of the slot that Jordan Lewis is going to have problems with, or maybe not problems with, but he's going to be a legitimate challenge for Jordan Lewis out of the slot.
Yeah, they have a pretty good balance between the passing game and the running game. Like they have good players on both, where they can, if something's not working, they can just go and use the other one. So it's going to be, and like you mentioned that game, Derek, against Cincinnati. I mean, we saw what a running back can do there.
Catching the ball.
Yeah.
They got two of them that can do that.
And that's one area that you definitely have to be concerned. But also on the positive side, you have seen the Cowboys being able to kind of control that area and improve in the running defense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if I could circle back on McMillan, he's had 40 targets this year. 5 of them have resulted in interceptions. He is the one. When Baker Mayfield has thrown him the ball, he's the one receiver that has given up or been a part of targets to him. 5 of them have been interceptions out of 40 targets. So there's been a little bit of a struggle, but a little bit of improvement here the last couple of weeks. But to your point, though, if Dallas doesn't deal with Irvin and White catching the football, this could be a long day for them. Because that they're going to throw the ball to these dudes. They're one of those teams that they like to throw Baker Mayfield, he throws a lot of short passes. I mean, it's a lot of short passes and then run. A lot of rack for these guys. And they like to throw the ball to the flat. If Dallas doesn't play in space and play the flats well enough, they're going to get killed like they did against Cincinnati with the the backs catching the ball. This is going to make their defense. It's not going to be so much vertically. It's going to be horizontally how they're going to have to play this game because of the way the ball goes short.
You know I love me some Bucky Irving, Brian.
I know you do. You're right about him.
Man, he's been so much fun to watch. Yeah. He's a physical runner despite his stature. He's only 5'9", but his field vision, I think, walking into the league year one and seeing what he's been able to do, I'd put his field vision top 3 in the league. It's that good. He has eyes on the back of his head. He's really talented. Really talented.
All right, let's do a couple of player evaluations. There were some players on the Cowboys defense that we didn't get a chance to talk much about in the post game of their last game, but I want to throw their names out, and you guys tell me what you saw from them last week, and then obviously projecting into this. So let's start with Israel Mukuamu, who you mentioned that, Brian, you said you'd probably play him more this week at cornerback. What did you see from him last week?
I think that with Izzy, you're going to get. There's some flexibility because he played some safety too. If you remember, Hooker had a foot problem. I thought Hooker got stepped on. When you watch the tape, you're like, did he get stepped on? And then they came back and he had tape on over his shoe. So, I mean, obviously it's an ankle problem or a foot problem, something that he was dealing with. But the thing about Izzy is, I think Izzy is going to always be super competitive. I think he's going to be aware of what's happening around him. And to me, when I watch him play, there was a time where I was kind of nervous about putting him out there, but I'm not anymore. Yeah, I'm not. I used to think like, gosh, he's going to do something crazy, and he's going to. But he's usually generally locked into what's going on. The length is impressive. The ability to carry guys is impressive. The ability to go get the football, and we saw with the interceptions and stuff like that he's had, his ability to kind of be at the right place at the right time. I'm totally okay with him, being out there and being a part of this week because of the weapons that they have, with Evans and Otten. And they're going to have to – I would rather have him out there than A.O. Like I said, start him, let him play, match that thing up, and then let him go.
He's played 123 coverage snaps. He's only allowed 8 receptions for 89 yards on the year. Granted, he's been kind of managed a lot in different areas as well, and so those numbers might be a little bit skewed. But he has been good in coverage from what I've seen. The length is there. The strides really make up ground in a fast manner. I like Israel Mukuamu to start playing a little bit more in these next 3 games.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Donovan Wilson.
Donovan Wilson.
Donovan
Wilson. I was just curious which one you wanted there. Donovan Wilson.
Thanks for listening.
Hey, I'll take a combination.
Yeah, combination. I think with Donovan Wilson, you started to see him kind of find his stride again in the last few weeks. I will say that because in the beginning of the season, I'll be honest with you guys, and I think I even mentioned on the show, I was like, all right, you might need to look somewhere else in 2025. And I'm not completely throwing that equation out of the window either, but I think you're starting to see Donovan Wilson return to form a little bit. I don't think he ever found his stride last year, coming off of that calf injury that he suffered in training camp, and it kind of kept him out for this first couple of weeks. But I think this year, seeing him with the full camp, and then now the first half of the season, this entire defense was in disarray, but now that this defense has really started to rebound, you started to see Donovan Wilson rebound. As the linebackers in front of him rebound, you're starting to see him rebound. So I think he's kind of a product of everything around him. How much do you want that in your safety department? That's a question you would have to answer in the offseason. A guy that only thrives when everyone around him is thriving. But on that same token, you still have to give credit to him being able to make plays in the run game. I love the situational blitzing that Mike Zimmer has found with him as well. But in coverage, I think he's still a liability.
Yeah, the coverage part of it, they figured out that we're not going to, after that San Francisco game, they're like, listen, we can't put him in coverage anymore.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it's like, here we are, we're going to adapt you. We're going to make you this situational blitzer. We're going to let you play around the line of scrimmage a little more. You go back and watch the tape with Dan Quinn. What was Donovan Wilson doing pretty well? Playing around the line of scrimmage, making tackles, being a physical force. If the run breaks through, you're there making a play. And that's what they've done. They realize that putting him in coverage is a terrible idea. And they're playing to his strengths, and that's why he's playing better.
Did you guys notice, and I didn't see any final stats on snap count, but it seemed to me like they were kind of mixing he and Mukuamu earlier in the game a lot more. Like he was off the field with Mukuamu on.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the same thing, or was that just kind of a few plays?
Was
I
that
noticed
the thing with Hooker getting hurt? I mean, was that
No,
what you were
it was
I
noticing?
thought Hooker was still on the field. Yeah,
Okay.
it was Hooker and Mukuamu, and then it would be Hooker and Lewis. Why do I keep calling Lewis? Wilson.
Yeah.
And I didn't track it the whole game, and I didn't see any snap counts after the game. They didn't give us that in our packet that we got from the PR team. But I just wondered if that was a situation where they were playing Mukuamu more, and that meant less snaps for Wilson.
I mean, Wilson did play his second least snaps of the season against Carolina. So, and technically Israel Mukuamu played 15 snaps at safety. So, it's something to look at for sure. I did notice Mukuamu on the field though in the first quarter, and then you look around and you see Oruwariye and you see Lewis, and you're like, okay, where's Wilson?
Where is he?
So I did notice that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I guess I just kind of forgot to circle back on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting point. I think in that sense, maybe you just put Mukuamu on the field in passing downs and passing situations. Unless you're using Wilson as a situational blitzer.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
Amani Oruwariye. What did you see from last week?
I'm not going there anymore.
You're done.
It's tough to identify
And
what exactly.
it's not because of the block punt thing and all that. I just feel like that. Man, I could play with Izzy. If Jordan Lewis has proven to me that he could play on the outside again. I haven't seen that since Michigan.
Yeah.
And if you give me a guy that can carry, a guy that's going to be tough, guy that's going to play routes inside, guy that's going to tackle, give me that guy. There was something that happened in that game that thing didn't get communicated all the way to the outside, and you had a huge bust. You can't have that. I don't know, him, Hooker, somebody, they did not get that message. So to me, and I know that he's had some moments where, but I just, it's not worth it to me anymore. It's just not. When I know that I have other guys that I could feel like that I can lean on a little bit harder, and then they won't have problems out there.
The Amani Oruwariye Bryan Broaddus apology game coming on Sunday night.
You think so?
I don't know. I'm just
I'll be happy to admit I'm wrong if that's the case.
If he does it, yeah.
It's tough for me to identify what exactly happened on that 83-yarder, and that's it's something you can't even ask the players either because they're not going to throw another guy under the bus.
They know.
But it's but they do know. Someone knows.
They didn't communicate
that side and that is 100% true.
Somebody didn't communicate it. Yeah.
Was it a situation where Hooker was trying to communicate and Oruwariye wasn't even looking, or was it a situation where Oruwariye was looking over and Hooker didn't communicate anything? So it's like it's tough to identify what exactly happened. But you take that play. Let's take that play out of the equation. I mean, this secondary played really well on Sunday, and it's if you would be trying to harp on anybody, I think it would be a little bit of nitpicking from aside from that 83-yarder.
Nitpicking, huh?
Aside from the 83-yarder, yeah. I mean, you look at the secondary and how they performed. Even Oruwariye.
Yeah. Okay, but you're going to comfortable in this game having AO cover Evans?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't nitpicking
No.
for that.
Oh my God.
I think you would be nitpicking to try to find any negatives in the Carolina game.
Okay.
Aside from the 83-yarder. Yeah. Like if we're taking away the 83-yarder,
Yes.
I think it would be.
I'm taking it. I am taking it out. I just feel like that I have better cover guys without him being on the
It's
field.
less about him and more about the fact that they're just guys that are better. Right
I think they're guys that are better.
Yeah.
That's just.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah. I agree with you.
All right, that's a wrap.
Hope he
We'll be
knocks
back
that
tomorrow.
ball down, make a play.
Tomorrow we will be back. We will talk about the offense. The defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Cowboys offense. It'll be our final show of the week. So we'll also get some picks tomorrow. Till then, for Nick Harris, Bryan Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!